I'm here. It's the end of the session. This is Lulu. Thank you for the kiss, sweetheart. And this is Lulu, Hugo, really Hugo and Lulu's roadmap to success. Beau is a good dog from the last time we worked with him. So basically, we just got done going out for a potty break. And Hugo did not potty. Now, there was construction going on nearby, and I think that distracted him a little bit. So he is not, he doesn't like the cold or the steps as much as the other dogs. So what we did is we were outside. He gave him 5 minutes. We tried to not move around so we weren't a distraction. After 5 minutes, or when he starts wiggling, again, or up to about 15 minutes, then when he starts wiggling, Dad's going to take him back outside. We're going to have a treat, and we're going to be ready to mark if he does do his business. So 5 minutes outside, comes back inside. We keep him in our lap like this until he wiggles, or about 15 minutes, and take him back outside. Keep on doing back and forth until eventually he's successful. And I would make sure that you give him like 5 treats when he is successful, give him that jackpot that we talked about in the video above. All right, what do we go over today? Lulu, what do we go over? We went over marker words. The marker word the Guardians here selected was yes. And so I'd like the Guardians to start doing what we call capturing, which means that any time that the dog does any action that you like, yes, like you can't see off camera, Beau just went and laid down. So anytime the dog sits, comes, lays down, you can do it for drinking water. You can do it for eating. You can definitely do it for pooping or peeing. So capturing is basically waiting for the dog to do the behavior on its own. And when they do it, we mark as soon as they do it. Then afterwards, we reward them. So for the dog's perspective, every time I come to David, I hear yes, and then he pets me or gives me a treat. So I'm inclined to want to come to David because I did it on my own. He didn't tell me to do it, but when I do it, he rewards me and that gives me the motivation to want to do that. These dogs have a little bit of a challenge because their guardians love them so much. They've really kind of spoiled them. And a lot of times we do everything for the dog as a way of showing affection. But we can do that for our children, but if we give them everything they want, and we have a very awesome daughter in the house name with an 8-letter name, I will say. And so let's say that every time she wants anything, her parents are like, drop what they're doing and give it to her. And then one day she goes, I want to go to Disneyland. Okay, we'll go to the airport. No, I want to go right now. Well, so we're kind of setting her up for not for success because that's not reasonable. She can't get everything that she wants. Even though we're trying to convey we love her by doing these things, it creates a little bit of a distorted perception. So what we need the dogs to do is have a little bit of a motivation to want to listen to the guardian, and the marker word and reinforcement is a great way to start with that. So every time the dog comes to you, you want to say yes and then pet it or give it a treat. Same thing for sitting, laying down, drinking their water, pooping, and so on. Now, for pooping, make sure you don't say potty, potty, potty. And now let's say that I'm sitting here and I'm not paying attention, and Lulu comes up, and our A superstar recognized that Lulu came to David, and David didn't recognize that. She would say, celebrate! I would stop it. I would just say, yes! And just turn and pet the dog as soon as I can. Remember, you only have 2 seconds to correct or reward a dog. So if she came up to me and our A superstar saw that was second number 1. And then our A superstar said, celebrate, that's second number 2. I don't have any more time. I have to just immediately start petting the dog. So I say my marker word to let the dog know within 2 seconds that coming to me is a great way to get attention. Then I start petting or giving a treat. So it'll take you guys about 1.5 months to 2 months to get in a habit of it. But once you do that, you'll start recognizing. Then we can start adding in the cue or the command word. So let's say I'm sitting here, and now I'm kind of dialed into it, and I see that Lulu starts walking towards me. I know she's going to come to me, so I say, come. She's already coming to me anyways. And when she gets to me, I say yes, and then I pet her. And eventually, when I see her coming to me, I say, come. I don't mark when she gets it, and I just pet her. So she's like, coming to David means that I'm going to get a treat. I like getting treats, ergo, I'm going to go to David a lot. So we're celebrating the things the dog does that we want. That's why I like using that as my watchword. So try to use that with each other to help yourselves get into that habit of doing that. Now for the puppies, I'd like the puppies to get some more toys. Right now, I'm seeing a lot of stuffy toys. And right now, and I don't know if the Guardian cleaned up for me, well, I think for themselves as well. But when we have toys all over the place, we trip over them, we go clean them up. Well, if I'm a puppy, I have a very short attention span, and I feel like I need to get my chew on, and I don't see anything appropriate to chew on except for, there's a wooden chair, leg to the chair. I'm going to chew on that. So if I have stuff all strewn around the area that I'm hanging out in, then I'm able to, I'll chew on this. It's right here. So that gets them in a habit. Dogs get in a behavior pattern or habit. The more they do something, the more likely to continue doing something. That's why we're big believers of setting up a long-term confinement area, which I would recommend the guardians move the little table and the lamp in the corner and set up a long-term confinement area. That won't be the whole part of it. It'll spill out here. But you can kind of use, it's kind of like Tetris. You'll kind of make a weird shape. And then that way the dog's going to have an area that he can go in. If they, like right now, if the dog has a potty, we could put the dog in there. Now if the dog gets potties in there, we'd probably go back to holding it. But giving it a secure area that's full of all these toys, well, then the dog doesn't have access to chewing on our crown molding or our couch or the woodwork or whatever it is. But all these other toys are in here, so I'm more inclined to want to do that. Make sure you never lift your dog over the long-term confinement area. Make sure it has a gate. Don't get a plastic version. Get the metal one because they'll chew through plastic eventually. And I like the guardian to get a whole bunch of toys. I'd like to get 3 lick mats. And I like to get the ones with suction cups on the bottom. The ones that I get are from Best Buddy, but a lot of them have that. And then you smear peanut butter, and you can put them in different parts of the house on the floor here, and then the dogs lay down and lick that peanut butter. Remember, licking releases endorphins. It also is preoccupying. It takes a long time for them to do that. I like to also get some Nylabones. Now, Nylabones come in all sorts of shapes, sizes, and flavors. So get a couple that are bacon, get a couple that are barbecue, get different shapes and sizes. And I would get probably 3 of each one, so that way the dogs have a whole bunch of them. So I don't have to guard anything. I can go chew on Lulu's, or I can go chew on Hugo's, or whatever it is. But they're always available. I would also recommend the guardian get an Omega Paw treat ball, probably a couple of them, probably the medium-sized ones. I would get a couple of Kongs, the medium-sized Kongs as well, filling those up with peanut butter. The Kong, I should say. Don't feed up the Omega Paw treat ball. But feed up the Kong with peanut butter, and after you give it to them a couple times, then you can start putting the Kongs in the freezer. And then this makes it harder to get that peanut butter out. It lengthens it. I'd also like the guardians to get at least 3 other Omega Paw treat ball, a snuffle mat to feed them out of that furry thing, and then also get about 3 or 4 IQ, you call treat dispensing toys, food dispensing toys, food puzzles. Look up those and message me if you can't find them on Amazon, and I'll send you a couple links. But the idea is we feed half of the meal out of the snuffle mat, the other half out of one of the other toys, and the next meal, snuffle mat and a different toy. The toys help with their problem solving and their confidence. It gives them something to do. They earn their food. They have that boost of self-esteem and confidence. Mom didn't just give me this food. I hunted this food. We're just knocking it around out of the wall. So don't get just balls. You want different types of toys, so they have to go through different problem-solving modes. Some are like puzzles. They have to slide a thing over. There's a little food underneath there. So these are great ways for us to keep them occupied, and also not free-feeding them, which is what they're doing now, kind of robs them of a motivation. So I would feed Hugo first, and when Hugo, you're not Hugo, you're Beau. So Beau's the old dog, so he's 7. So we would feed Beau first out of a bowl. You can use a snuffle mat for him too. But feed him out of the bowl, and when he gets done, then make sure to dump any food, extra food out of his bowls. They're going to go lick his bowl, so make sure it's empty. And then I would feed them probably at the same time because they're basically the same age, but with different toys. Maybe one is the long-term confinement area, one's right outside of it, and they're both rolling the ball around. Now the Omega Paw treat ball, you have to probably roll that the first couple times to kind of get them into it, but eventually they kind of figure it out, and they're nudging that thing around the room like they're Diego or Maradona, the soccer player. And again, it boosts their confidence, helps with their self-esteem, and you're giving them something to do. The bully sticks that I have are from The Natural Dog Company. There's a company called Natural Dog Company. They don't make bully sticks. I would go to Woof and Whiskers or Green Spot, and I would definitely talk to Suki at the Green Spot. Hopefully you guys have already watched that seminar, which I think is coming up like tomorrow, this weekend. So register, hopefully you've gone to that one. If not, just talk to Suki and just say, hey, this is what we're feeding our dog, science diet or whatever it is. David said that you might have some suggestions, and tell them your price points, and she'll come up with some good solutions for you. But make sure you feed him 3 or 4 times. Hugo at least twice a day. Puppies I like to be fed 4 times a day, so they don't have to stretch that stomach to eat a huge meal. And the food is going to start becoming more and more valuable to them, makes treats more valuable. All this stuff helps motivate the dogs. I'd also like the guardians to get the puppies into a habit of eating carrots. So first, just try to get, chop up the carrots in little pieces, because these guys are little guys and they can't chew a big full carrot. So chop them up a little smaller than pea size and give them to them and see if they like it. If they like it, then you just go with it. They have cancer fighting properties to them. You can also take a carrot and take a potato peeler and just peel it off, a layer off, and then chop it up. Those are what I do for dogs that don't really like it, but you might need to start them off because they're little guys and girl. And so now they've gotten used to this carrots. And then eventually when they start licking something that I know they're going to chew, I go to the fridge, I grab some of these little carrot bites, and now they've been frozen. Now remember, if I'm licking this, I'm going to go grab them, and I'm going to watch as the dog is, I'm going to keep on licking. Licking is a precursor to chewing. And then you come over here and then wrap on the floor, and I turn to look, and then you have them fall from about 4 inches. That movement is going to attract my attention. I'm going to get up and I turn and come over this way and chew those little pieces of carrots. When I get done, I've satisfied my need to chew. I've numbed my gums, which is going to start happening any day now if it's not already, when the adult teeth come in there. And then I'm going in that direction. So after that, I usually like to give them something after that that they can, that is enticement to go again away from whatever the thing is. Remember, any attention is good attention for dogs. So if I'm chewing on the furniture and you immediately come to me, I'm going to continue doing that because that's a great way to get your attention. That's why I talked about capturing. The more we reward them for the things that we want, the more they're going to do those things to get our attention, as opposed to pottying or chewing or all the rest of that fun stuff. Now, when you're giving treats, make sure you're not holding the treat up like this, because that's going to promote that jumping. So no diagonal moves. So I go like this, and then I go to the dog's nose level, and I'm going down towards their nose. Now, we went through sit, up, down, and stand. We also went over a hand targeting exercise. If I don't have them linked above on this write-up, message me, and I can link up the puppy class videos that you're going to get when you take puppy classes. But since they're older, you're going to get into our elementary class. And make sure you're on top of that. So get in touch with Addie and get signed up, because Addie texted me, and the one that we have available is the least convenient location for you right now, which is in Papillion. So I would get signed up for the one either in, we call it Gretna, or 156th and Maple. But call her today and get in there, because they sell out really quick, and we need to get them in as soon as possible, especially for Hugo, who his confidence isn't as high as the other two dogs, and make sure they're in separate classes. So let me see, what else? The hand targeting, we want to try, remember the progression is turn, then lean, then 1 step and 2 steps. When you're chopping, make sure you're not just going like this. That's too easy. So you're chopping on either side of the head. Make sure you have that big movement like our Ninja A made. And so that big movement is going to attract their attention. And as soon as they touch their hand to their nose to your hand, then you say yes, and then your hand is frozen, you put the treat there. Eventually, you want to come up with a command cue when they're doing it pretty consistently, which should happen within a couple days or two. This is pretty easy. They picked up it pretty quick. So you can say touch, target, or a favorite one for a lot of people is boop. So you go boop, and the dog comes over and touches his nose to your hand, and you put the treat there. And so this is a nice way to reposition your dog. This is also an alternative way of asking your dog to come to you. One of the dogs does not like to come in, or sometimes they don't like to come in because they're outside having a good time. Well, now, come? I'm not going to come. That represents the end of fun. Boop. Oh, yeah, I'll come and shove my nose against your hand. Sure. They think of that as different because it's a different cue. Do you want to get down? Is that what you're saying? Am I manhandling you a little bit too much? We should probably talk about consent. So dogs have consent, and a lot of dogs that develop a nipping or lunging or aggressive behaviors do it because when we reach out to pet the dog, right there she leaned in. She said, yeah, I want you to give me that attention. But so whenever I go to pet a dog, I always stop an inch or two in front of their nose, and I ask the dog to demonstrate to me that it wants that attention. We just think, I'm petting you, it's a good positive thing. Maybe I'd rather be sleeping. Maybe I may feel really good right now, and I don't want to be disturbed. Maybe I want to chew my bully stick. We think I'm just going to give you a pet. Well, if I don't want that pet, it really doesn't matter. So, yes, you want to get down? I'll let you down. So what we want to do instead is reach for them. If they turn their head to the side, lower their head and back away, we're going to stop engaging them. And you can do things like offer a treat or something like that to get them to come to you. But the more that you respect what they're listening to, the more they're going to feel comfortable and confident around you. I'd also like the guardians to make sure that we're interceding. So if the dogs are beating up on Beau a little bit, and Beau's just kind of being a good guy and dealing with it, eventually one day Beau is going to reach his limit. He might nip at them. And I've seen dogs where they were fine for a long period of time, and then suddenly, now they start going after one dog. Well, maybe the pheromone wear off that I talked to you about, or whatever it is, the dog just finally reached its limit. So the idea is we want to make sure that we're interceding. So remember, dogs have 10 levels of energy. When the puppies are playing together, anytime they reach level 5 energy, we should give them that timeout. And the best way to do it is to boop and have them come over on their own and touch our hand, and then we kind of pick them up and wait for them to relax. The other way to do it is I would basically, if the puppy's facing away from me, I walk up behind the puppy, I take my hands and I put it on the puppy's back thighs, on the front of their back thighs, and I pull them back. Now, as soon as they do that, whenever you do this, you need to have a treat. So as soon as the dog turns around to look, you give them that treat. So we want them to understand, when I'm putting this pressure here on your thighs, that's nothing to be complained about. That's actually a good thing. It means I'm going to get a treat. Now, for the backyard right now, we have a lot of snow, and Hugo didn't want to potty. So I would probably take Beau out with Hugo without Lulu. And then for the steps, make sure you put, I would just start putting Hugo on the middle step. Now, temperature is more important than taste to dogs. So I would get some warm chicken, microwave it, put him on the middle step, and put a piece of chicken on the last step, and put 3 pieces of chicken on the concrete. It's warm, so he should smell it. Put it in front of his nose. Let him know what it is. Maybe give him a tiny little piece, and then put him on that step, and put one. Boom, boom. After a while, he'll start going up and down the stairs, no problem. You might put cardboard on the inside of the second and third step, just so when he's going up, he doesn't see through them. The guardians think he might have slipped through, and that might be why he doesn't like it. But steps can be difficult for a lot of dogs. So it's once he gets in the habit of going down there and getting it, he's going to be, after a while, he'll just fly up and down those stairs. But right now, while there's snow on the ground, you might want to take a shovel and go out and shovel like a 6-foot path, and then put like 4 feet on each side of it, kind of like a T shape, or a square area at the end, so they can go out there, especially if there's a little bit of grass. Grass kind of motivates dogs. One dog pees there, the next dog's going to want to pee there. And these dogs are kind of small, and the snow is pretty tall right now. It's going to be freezing on top of it. Makes it difficult and uncomfortable to walk on. The more they have a negative experience, the more they're going to want to avoid that experience. Same thing, good behaviors elicit more good behaviors, bad behaviors elicit more bad behaviors, or unwanted behaviors, if they get attention. So if we scoop that, I think that'll make a little bit of a difference. And again, give them those jackpots. Trying to think, is there anything else? Did you do some business? Did you do some business, buddy? Come here. Oh, yes. Yes, come here. Get that treat. Oh, let me get you. That's not very good consent, but I want to have you on the camera a little bit. You have snow on your nose. This is Hugo. Anything else you want me to go over? All right, well, hopefully we're going to get these two in, the cousins in our puppy classes, and that will really help with a lot of some of the lessons we went over today you'll cover in puppy class. But if any other questions or problems come up, let me know. I can share some of the puppy class lessons that we have from our kindergarten class, which you're going to miss because they're just going to be too old for it. But it'll be really helpful. We have an elementary class and a high school class. Get in both of those classes. Sign them up back to back. That way they carry over the same group of puppies. And that helps with confidence building as well. And make sure you set up those play dates. You're going to get an invite to our puppy class parents page. Make sure you set those up. On average, we would like the puppies to meet a minimum of 5 other puppies throughout the first year of their life. 500 puppies a week, I should say. And it's got to be a positive experience for it to be beneficial. But you might find some Shih Tzus or some other small dogs that are similar size or personality levels where they're buddies. And then basically maybe once we get done with the potty issues, maybe they bring one of their dogs over here and your dogs run around the backyard and play, or you take your dogs to their house and play before a game, or you're entertaining. A little exercise ahead of time can be helpful. That's the last little thing I forgot. So these dogs have energy zones, usually around sunrise and sunset. These two like to get worked up around 9:15, and our superstar A, she goes to bed around 8:30. So that kind of can disturb her. So what I would do is throw a ball. You can throw treats if you want. Generally speaking, you don't want to run a puppy. You want them to run on their own. It's fun for them to run as much as they want, but we don't want them overtaxing it. So maybe 10 throws, 15 throws. And if you see that they're having some mobility issues afterwards, stop that and talk to your vet. I'm not a vet. We want to do no harm. But I think that if you can get them chasing after the ball or whatever, remember the movement is going to be very attracting for their attention. And then you can, and also training. So that could be another thing that you do is maybe when she goes to bed, maybe we, practice the touch, target, sit, up, down, stand, tornado, and any other lessons we cover in puppy class. That makes them use their brain, and that's very taxing for them because they don't use their brain very much. All right, Hugo, do you have any other questions? That's called a positive interrupter, a kissing sound. So when they're licking or chewing something, instead of saying, no, 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 and then when they look at you, hold out your hand with a treat, they'll run right up to you, and then you've redirected them away from it without making it the boogeyman or the forbidden fruit. All right, Mabel, I would pick you up, but I have a tickle in my throat. Yes, she just sat down. This is Hugo, that's Mabel, that's Beau. This is the roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog, only sometimes you mean it.